Meet the Mets, meet the Mets. Step right up and greet the Mets. Bring your kiddies, bring your wife. Guaranteed to have the time of your life, because the Mets are really socking the ball, knocking those home runs over the wall. East side, west side, everybody's coming down to meet the METS Mets of New York town. Oh, the butcher and the baker and the people on the streets, where do they go? To meet the Mets! Oh, they're hollering and cheering and they're jumping in their seats. Where do they go? To meet the Mets! All the fans are true to the orange and blue, so hurry up and come on down, 'cause we got ourselves a ball club, the Mets of New York.
Welcome to Talkin' Mets with Rob. Subscribe to the channel for all your New York Mets in-game live, pre-game, post-game, roundtable podcast, and all the breaking news for our New York Mets. Enjoy the show and let's go Mets.
What's up, Mets fans? Welcome to the channel for some breaking Mets news right here on the channel. Hit that like button, guys. Subscribe to the channel. Now, this should not be a shock, Met fans. Where there's smoke, there is fire. Over the last 2 weeks, we've been hearing weird hints about Brandon Nimmo over and over again. He was on the availability list that Jeff Passan reported out there. He was number one on the list. And as I said the last time we spoke, that the Mets are not putting Brandon Nimmo on an availability list to be traded if they didn't speak to Brandon Nimmo about this. And Brandon Nimmo probably gave him teams he's willing to be traded to with his full no trade clause. So there you go, Mets fans. This is where it's at, as the New York Mets have traded Brandon Nimmo to the Texas Rangers for third baseman Marcus Siemen and $5 million going to the Rangers. So what does that mean? That means the Mets get released from that Brandon Nimmo contract. The Mets save around 19, probably more than that. It's probably, I would say, around a good amount of a decent amount of money. So it opens up their payroll. You save 3 years, 2 or 3 years from the deal, and it's amazing. It's a crazy move. Yeah, explosive. I know people are saying that Lindor is the cancer, but I don't think so. You know, reports have been coming out that Nimmo was pissed off that Lindor was considered the captain and not himself. Well, guess what, Brandon Nimmo? Guess what? You've been here longer than any other Met that are currently on this team, especially the core. You are a guy that the Mets can't count on when it comes to defense. Run prevention was a problem. Brandon Nimmo was a ghost for the majority of the year. Yes, his stats look good, but he was a problem. And this is where, now, I think this might bring back Pete Alonso more than not bringing back Pete Alonso. I think this trade makes Pete Alonso more possible than 24 hours ago. So this is, and by the way, guys, this trade right now has something else brewing. There's a trade coming down probably shortly, and why this trade happened. Just think of it, guys. You got, yes, Marcus Siemen is going to be 35 years old. Absolutely, right? I'm not telling you he's a great player by any means. He was hurt last year with a foot injury, played 127 games, but he played a lot of games, right? This is the one time he was injured. He's good defensively. He hit 16 home runs last year. He batted .230. I'm not telling you he's a great player, but I'm telling you that he's a really good defender. This opens up left field for a possible Kyle Tucker type of signing. Don't think this is not possibility at this moment, because The first move, the real move of David Stearns this offseason has been a trade of one of his core guys in Brandon Nimmo for a solid third baseman, a really good third baseman in Marcus Siemen, who is a guy who was about, and we'll check the stats right now, guys. As I'm trying to wake up because I was sleeping. I got home for a couple hours ago, so I've been sleeping that overnight life. So yeah, he played 127 games, but every year until last year, he played 159, 162, 161, 162, and obviously the pandemic year. So the last 4 years, he played 159 games more. Yesterday, he had the foot injury. He hit 23 home runs. He hit 15 home runs this year, 62 RBIs. So let's just say he plays 160 games. He's going to hit about 20-something home runs. So it's only a couple of more home runs than when Brandon Nimmo hit. And I'm not mad about it. He hit 62 RBIs. So due to me, he'll probably have about 80 RBIs, right? 20 home runs, 80 RBIs. And I keep on telling everybody this. Stop worrying about the guy replacing this guy. Don't take Marcus Siemen and replace Nimmo with Marcus Semien. You can't do that. As my Cowboys almost scored and went ahead against the Phillies. But I don't think this is just about trading Brandon Nimmo to obtain Marcus Siemen. This is not a situation where anybody's going to tell you that Marcus Siemen is better than Brandon Nimmo right now. They wanted to change the structure of this team. They wanted to change the culture of this team. They wanted to change the core of this team. And when we kept on hearing about Brandon Nimmo being on availability for trade, there had to be a conversation with Brandon Nimmo in regards to what teams he's willing to get traded to. And one, it was going to be, let's be honest, it was going to be a team somewhere on the West Coast or close to the North or close to his home, which obviously Texas is closer. Brandon Nimmo probably had, let's be honest, to get a little political here, he probably wanted to be in a red state. Let's be honest about that. Let's be clear about that. Like, we know Brandon Nimmo's political views. Everybody, we've talked about it. It's been a topic a couple of years ago. We know what political end of the spectrum he's on. There's a reason why all these reports were coming out the last couple of days. So, yeah, explosive. Nimmo not liking Lindor tells me that here's the problem that I have that Nimmo says that he don't like Lindor. You know why Nimmo don't like Lindor? I'm going to tell you why. Because Lindor came in here as a veteran, as a superstar on his team in the Guardians, or in the Indians at the time, came over here, and Lindor didn't take that leadership mantle right away. We all know that. Brandon Nimmo and Pete Alonso, and I said this before, you guys have been on the channel. If you haven't, I'm going to say this again. For years, Brandon Nimmo and Pete Alonso have been the two leaders of this offense, probably since the pandemic year. They had every opportunity to become the quote-unquote captains of this team for years. This is more of an issue with Brandon Nimmo and Pete Alonso. Why is that? And I'm going to tell you why. Because I didn't see Pete Alonso in 2024 when his team had no expectations at all and try to fight their way into the playoffs, except for Francisco Lindor and the emergence of Mark Vientos, right? That was the Pete Alonso bad year. Why does nobody talk about when Pete Alonso has a great year and the Mets are bad? Everybody gives Pete Alonso all the credit. Same thing goes for Brandon Nimmo. 2022, Brandon Nimmo had a great year. Oh, contract year, great. Yet, that team folded under the pressure. So, and this is when Francisco Lindor still wasn't considered a leader of this team, or technically wasn't a leader of this team. Pete Alonso and Brandon Nimmo had every opportunity being the faces of this team coming up through the minors, where they had an opportunity to be leaders, to be captains of this team. They never took control over it. That is on them. That is on them. That is not on anybody else. This is the problem that people don't understand. It's Nimmo didn't like Lindor because Lindor came in here and tried to probably be a leader. But Lindor is not stupid. He knows that the Mets weren't his team. This was Pete Alonso's, Brandon Nimmo's team. We all know that. We all know that. Explosive, so what? If they went to a fashion show, who cares? Who cares? It doesn't matter. It really doesn't. The fact that the New York Mets made this deal, and again, guys, I don't think the focus should be on Marcus Siemen. Now, the focus should be on Brandon Nimmo getting traded, but X everybody this. Why did Brandon Nimmo want to get out of here? Right? Is it about leadership? Or is Brandon Nimmo just didn't like the fact that other players that have come in here have became leaders except for him? Where was Brandon Nimmo? Right? Always Brandon Nimmo with the positive attitude. Oh, we got to be better. The same old spew, right? But when it came to a meeting that had to happen in 2024, who was the one that started that meeting? Francisco Lindor. Where was the meetings for Brandon Nimmo with Brandon Nimmo and Pete Alonso in 2022 when they were falling apart? When this wasn't Lindor's quote-unquote leadership captain team yet. So that's where we are right now, Mets fans. No, but see, you're not asking why Nimmo doesn't like Lindor. And I'm telling you why. Because Lindor came in here as the superstar he is, coming from another team in a big trade. And we saw right away that the dynamic was a problem because Lindor was a leader of that Indians team. You all saw it. We all seen what he did in the playoffs. And he comes to a team getting traded where you have Pete Alonso and Brandon Nimmo, who is the guys who've been here the longest. And that's what you look at. So again, this is more on Brandon Nimmo and Pete Alonso, but let's leave Pete Alonso out of this because I think this means for you Met fans that want Pete Alonso around, this is probably a good sign for Pete Alonso coming back, in my opinion. But why is Lindor fake? Why is Lindor fake? He's a front-runner leader, really. So in 2024, when the Mets were 11 games under 500, and the guy who stepped up the most was Francisco Lindor and Jose Iglesias, when Pete Alonso decided to have a bad season and nowhere to be found. And he had a really good postseason. We all know that. But this is the thing here, guys. The fact that the Mets actually save money in this deal is interesting. Knowing that Marcus Siemen has been the epitome of health, except for last year. He had a foot injury. Now, I'm going to do a little quick research how he got hurt. I don't remember, but I knew he was hurt. Now, remember, I did a video the other day that I thought Corey Seager was going to be the guy. And the reason why I don't think, and that's why, obviously I would have took, Corey Seager has been injured the last couple of seasons. At least Semien was only hurt last year and still played 127 games. So it's just crazy. Lions baseball victory field. This has got to be a high school friend. High school teammate. I'm sorry, guys. I'm just looking at the comments. Let me just check one. Hold on one second, guys. I just want to check something really quick. All right, Semien's foot injury last year occurred when a foul pitch off his foot resulted in a fracture, third metatarsal, blah, 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 LaFranc sprain. He was expected to miss 4 to 6 weeks. So basically, it's a bone fracture. You threw a no-hitter. Oh, that's Esposito. Okay, I know who you are. You threw a no-hitter. Esposito, oh, God. Jeez. I'm trying to remember. So he had a fractured foot. So it's a bone injury. It's not a ligament injury. It's not a soft tissue injury, which is important, guys. Because, again, fractures heal. And B-Jacks, 100%. This is leading towards a bigger deal. And bringing in a veteran at third base gives the Mets an opportunity. And by the way, guys, they save about $19 or so million on this deal. Because the remaining $102.5 million, let me just do the math really quick. 26 plus times 3 is 70 minus 102.5. And they're giving $5 million to the Rangers. So that means the Mets are saving $19.5 million. I'm telling you, this is leading towards a big signing or another big trade. Like something's coming down. If this is a Tarek Skubal trade where the Mets are trying to save some money, or I don't even think this has to do with a Tarek Skubal. Maybe it does. I don't know. But there's something else coming down here. There's something else coming down here. And again, guys, you got to listen to David Stearns. As much as I don't trust him or like David Stearns, listen what he said in his exit interview. He talked about this even during the later parts of the season. But in his exit interview, he talked about run prevention. You get Nimmo out of left field, right? Now, if this leads to Tyrone Taylor playing left field or, Kyle Tucker signing or something else coming here that we just don't see yet. But this is crazy. But Chris, exactly. I don't want to, and obviously everybody knows CP here, True Mets Talk. Make sure you subscribe to his channel. The return is mid, 100%, right? I'm not excited about Marcus Siemen, but here's what Marcus Siemen does. Again, besides this year, by fouling the ball off his foot and fracturing his foot, he's played 159 plus games for the last 4 seasons, except for 2025. And Chris, that's a great point. I was just going to bring him up. This makes Cody Bellinger a real possibility. And now you set up your outfield for something even better. Now you can play Tyrone Taylor in center field every day, and put Bellinger in left field. You could do that, or put Bellinger in center field, Tyrone Taylor in left field. It doesn't matter. But this makes your defense tremendously better in left field and center field. It already makes your defense better at third base. You probably have the best defense. I know Lindor had a rough season last year, error-wise, but I think Lindor is going to be fine. Shortstop and third base, you got a 1-2 punch in the left side of your infield that is great defensively. Yeah, and explosive. You know what? Just think of the tensions that has been going on. Probably between Nimmo and Lindor. Lindor, I'm telling you, Nimmo, we've seen Nimmo finally trying to be a leader, but it's too late. You can't just wait until basically last year, basically in 2023 or 2023 when things were going haywire, that all of a sudden Nimmo says, "Oh, don't trade these guys, don't trade that guy," and then try to act like a leader. But you had every opportunity to do so when Lindor first got here. They had every opportunity to become the captains and the leader of this team, him and Alonso. That's the problem. So this is the thing, guys. We have to understand that you save $19.5 million because the Mets are getting rid of that 5 years of Nimmo. You got 3 years left of Semien for basically $5 million more a year for AAV. So it's not that much of a difference, but you do save $19.5 million. And you get rid of that we all said that Brandon Nimmo's contract is a disaster right now. Let's not act like everybody is all of a sudden big fans of Brandon Nimmo all of a sudden when we all complain about him all season. When Brandon Nimmo becomes a ghost for a month, everybody can't stand him. And this guy I said this before, and I'm going to say it again. Brandon Nimmo became a guy who does hit a couple of more home runs. Yes, he's hitting 80, 85, 90 RBIs, absolutely. But this guy never fit the lineup. Brandon Nimmo would have fit this lineup best as a leadoff hitter or a number 2 hitter. Because his on base went down, because his strikeouts went up, and his average has gone slightly down, he became a problem with the lineup because now he was batting 5th or 6th. How many times have we complained about Brandon Nimmo batting cleanup? How many times? This guy did not fit in this lineup. I'm sorry. And B-Jax, exactly. This might be another thing, guys. And B-Jax, I'm great to put that point in, Chris. I'm sorry I popped you out. But, Chris talking about the terms, we get out of the Brandon Nimmo contract 100%. But here's the other thing, right? And B-Jax just said it. Let me throw that comment up there if I can. Hold on one second, guys. So this is a possibility. I don't think this might happen, but you never know. That Semien's contract is also tradable, right? There might be something where this person can be tradable as he could be tradable. I don't think so, though. I think Semien is definitely a guy that is probably where David's again. This is not a 35-year-old that has missed 400 games in the last 5 years. Last year was the only games he missed in a long time. He's been very healthy. And again, checking his stats really quick, and we'll go through the numbers really quickly. Let me just go through the numbers real quick for you. Again, he had 15 home runs last year. Again, he played 127 games. But let's just look at the numbers. 2024, he was an all-star. He played in 159 games. 23 home runs, 74 RBIs. Again, this guy isn't a big power guy, right? In 2021, he had 45 home runs. But he's more of a 25 home run guy. So he's hitting the same amount of home runs as Brandon Nimmo. And look, his average is not where I kind of like it, to be quite honest with you. It has been going down, no doubt about that. Right? Even in his All-Star season 2024, he batted 237. But let's just see really quickly. So his strikeouts are around 105. So again, this is more about getting rid of Brandon Nimmo's contract, that everybody wanted Brandon Nimmo's contract to be gone. It was a terrible contract. You paid him to be a center fielder. He's not a center fielder. He sucks defensively. Now he's a left fielder. He's not a good left fielder. He has no arm. And yes, and again, I think we're worrying about the offense way too much when it comes to Brandon Nimmo. I truly believe that because I think his stats are so flawed. And I talked about this with Pete Alonso as well. Except, this year was one of the years where Pete Alonso where he was just really damn good everywhere for almost the entire season. He had one bad month, but most of his months were actually really damn good. Unlike Brandon Nimmo, there was points in this season where Brandon Nimmo was nowhere to be found. And this is the reason why he was batting 4th, 5th, 6th, because they didn't know where to put him. It was a terrible contract. Excuse me. No, Nick, but see, Semien's contract isn't great either, but it's only a 3-year deal. You're saving 2 years on a Brandon Nimmo contract, and you're saving $19 million. That's the difference here. And this guy is also a World Series champion, right? Everybody laughed at Corey Seager and Marcus Siemen when they signed a big deal to go to the Texas Rangers. Oh, this team sucks. They're never going to win a World Series. And look what they did, right? It was Corey Seager and a Marcus Siemen show and a Dallas Garcia show. Like, these guys stepped up. So, you know what? I always say this. The proven guy, the guy who's clutch, the guy who's, has won championships, who's been clutch in the playoffs, Marcus Siemen is one of those guys. And again, I'm not excited. By no means am I excited about Marcus Siemen. But healthy, he's going to hit between 20 and 25 home runs. How many home runs did Brandon Nimmo hit this year? 25? So let's not act like we're losing a 40 home run guy in Brandon Nimmo. We're not. And if you look at last year with the Texas Rangers, everybody had down seasons with the Rangers. That's why they didn't make the playoffs. Everybody had down seasons. So I think the numbers are somewhat skewed. And again, I'm not saying that that Marcus Siemen is a great guy, but you know what? In 2023, he had 100 RBIs. 2024, he had 74 RBIs. And in 2022, we had 83 RBIs. So again, I think he could be an 80 RBI guy. And again, we're overlooking this drastically. Again, we know how baseball is now, right? I'm still an average guy, but baseball is not. David Stearns is part of that new baseball club that does not care about average. They care about home runs. They care about defense. That is what they do. This is what they care about. They care about run prevention and how many home runs you can hit. I'm not the biggest fan of that, but Marcus Siemen fits that mold. Marcus Siemen is a champion. Marcus Semien is a Gold Glove third baseman. Marcus Semien will hit you 25 home runs. Marcus Semien will give you 75 to 80 RBIs. But again, this trade smells like a bigger picture. And you know what? The first trade, and let's be honest, this is the biggest trade in David Stearns' Mets career. Well, I'm not going to say it's a minor foot injury. He did fracture his foot, but he fouled off the ball. This is not soft tissue. This isn't a hamstring. This isn't Achilles. This isn't a calf. This isn't an oblique or anything like that. It's a fracture. And B. Jackson, exactly. Marcus Semien is a clubhouse guy. Marcus Semien was one of the leaders of that team, of the Texas Rangers. He'll fit in fine. I'm telling you, he'll fit in fine. Well, we'll see if Kyle Tucker is less likely for the Mets. Again, we don't know that, but this is really feeling like there's something else coming. Like this trade is, as my Cowboys with 3 seconds left look to win the game with a field goal against the Philadelphia Eagles. That's a big game for the. If you just give me 1 second, guys, I want to see if we make the kick. Yeah, baby. Yeah. All right. My Cowboys beat the Eagles. That's what I'm talking about. That's a big game for us right there, baby. All right. Sorry about that, guys. Cowboys with the comeback. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, the Eagles were up 21-0. And you know what? The defense actually played really damn well against the Eagles after those 21 points. They kept them in the game while the offense got together. All right, guys. I'm sorry about that. So, guys, I'm telling you, hey, what's up, baby? Wearing that same shirt. That's right, man. That was a fun time in Houston. but listen, guys, this is the thing here, guys. Fire, exactly. This is, and let me throw up this comment really quick. This is a Bellinger, Tucker, Schwarber type of comment. I'm telling you. Because, again, let's say the Mets get any of these guys. This guy's probably replacing Nimmo. Production. Probably better production. You see the point here, guys? So that's why I'm saying something's coming down the road here. There's something, this trade is leading to something happening. Does this mean McNeil's gone? Probably. I think McNeil was going to be gone anyway if this trade didn't get down. So yes, 100% agree, Fire. This feels like a Bellinger, Tucker, Schwarber. One of those guys are coming. And more likely, it's probably Bellinger or Tucker, in my opinion. Because what do they both can do? They can replace Brandon Nimmo in left field. You put Tucker or Bellinger in left field, they're tremendously better defensively in left field. And let alone, now, Bellinger is interesting. I think Bellinger has found himself. I don't think he's going to hit massive home runs, but I think he can hit 25 to 30. I think he can have 80 to 85 RBIs. I think his average can be around 260, but he's tremendously better. If you can just fit the mold of offense from Bellinger and replace the Nimmo offense, you're getting the better player because he's excellent defensively. Did we all see what happened? We all saw what happened when Bellinger made that play in left field, throwing out Juan Soto at first base when he made that excellent catch in left field. The guy's a Gold Glove defense, left fielder or outfielder. And he could play center field if need be. This is the problem. And this is where we are. And I think Tucker can play left field, yes. So, CD, I don't think Soto's going to move from right field, to be quite honest with you. But Explosive. I think everything's on the table. I think Tatis is on the table, even though I don't know how Tatis would. Well, actually, you play center field, so yeah. I mean, it could fit. Like I said, I think everything's on this. Here's what this trade does. This trade opens up the possibility where I didn't think this was going to lead to of a Bellinger, Tucker, Tatis. I think this opens up all three possibilities. With Brandon Nimmo here, I don't think there was any thought about it, to be honest with you. I wanted Bellinger for center field, but I didn't think that was going to happen if Nimmo was still here. Now, I think all those names are on the table now. Bellinger, Tucker, and Tatis are all on the table here, in my opinion. And that is what you have to understand. Don't look at, oh my God, we got Marcus Siemen for Brandon Nimmo. That doesn't seem like a good trade-off. Now, again, payroll-wise, and people might not care about this, but you are saving $19 million from the Brandon Nimmo contract, bringing in Semien here. Semien is not a bad player. Semien's a gold glove defender. Semien's a guy, he's not a big average guy, but here we go, guys. Marcus Siemen's a two-hitter. Right? I think Marcus Siemen is probably going to be batting probably second, maybe he even bats fifth. It depends. Depending on what the Mets do. But this is the guy that, again, the problem with the Mets last year wasn't getting on base. They couldn't drive in the runs. That's what I think it is. Yeah, that's right, KTU. Cowboys win, baby. What a victory. So I really think this means a bigger thing here. I really think this means a Bellinger-Tucker type of situation, or maybe trading for Tatis. Strong possibility. We know the Padres are looking to shed payroll because their ownership situation, the owner came out and talked about, the financial restraints that they've had ever since the main owner passed away. So it's been a problem. So it is a possibility. I'm not saying, I was shocked because, again, I got home from work and I did a crazy shift today. So I was sleeping. I got home around, I don't know, the time I got home, 10 o'clock this morning from an overnight shift at work. And I took a nap. I woke up and my phone blew up. I was like, what's going on? And then I saw the Brandon Nimmo trade. So this trade is leading to something else. If that's a big trade coming in a Tatis situation or something else we're not paying attention to that we just don't know yet, or a Bellinger-Tucker signing. And Mark, I agree with you. I think Tatis is a problem. But I'm starting to think, what are the Mets trying to do here, right? We always knew that the click between Nimmo and McNeil and Alonso was close. What is close now, right? I don't want to bring this up, but I'm kind of looking at this situation. Let's say it's Tatis, right? Juan Soto and Tatis played together, right? I know when Soto got traded to the Padres, he had a rough rest of the season, but the following year, he was outstanding. So, again, and what does Tatis also bring? He brings gold glove caliber defense in the outfield. That's also what he does. I mean, just think of it, guys. We barely had a center fielder this year, but let's say it was terrible center field, right? I mean, McNeil was playing center field this year. Let's say I tell you that the Mets get Fernando Tatis. Let's say Tatis plays center field. Tyrone Taylor, I'd put Tyrone Taylor in the left field. That is probably one of the best defense, left field, center field in baseball. Let's be honest about that. You know what I'm saying? And New York, I'm not saying they're friends or anything like that, but what I'm saying is that the dynamic of McNeil, Alonso, and Nimmo won us absolutely nothing. At some point, you got to change that. That has been your core since Alonso came up in 2019. Obviously, Nimmo and McNeil before that. That has been your core. Your core has been through more losing seasons than winning seasons. Why are we acting like this core has won us championships or even has made the playoffs more times than not. The majority of Nimmo, McNeil, and Alonso's career, they've made the playoff a grand total of twice in their 6-7+ year career with the Mets. Like, that's a problem. And I'm not saying one guy is all the problem or the group is the problem, but you got to change something when it keeps on working. Why did people, because too many Met fans wanted Pete Alonso back, yet people are complaining that they traded Nimmo. So it's like, wait a second. So you basically want the same lineup. You want Nimmo and Alonso back, which is going to take away probably getting Tucker or Bellinger, because you got to pay Alonso 4 or 5 year deal, and you still got Nimmo's contract on there. And oh, by the way, we got to fix the pitching. So this is what you have to understand. If you want Alonso back, I think it's more likely now. I think it's likely you get 2 big signings. Only because, I mean, maybe. I don't know. But we're really acting like all of a sudden Met fans are in love with Brandon Nimmo. Like, all we do is complain about him. Why is Brandon Nimmo batting 4th? Why is he batting 5th? All year we talked about this. This is the same guy that couldn't hit a lick cleanup every time they put him there. It's very interesting. It is an interesting trade nonetheless. Now, I did a video yesterday in regards to the Mets obtaining Corey Seager for Brandon Nimmo. Now, obviously, the Mets would have taken a lot more money. But again, guys, this trade does 2 things as we try to wrap it up here. 2 things. It saves the Mets $19.5 million. It saves the Mets 2 years of a contract that they would have had Nimmo for when Semien is gone in 3 years. And I think he's probably a 2-year guy. And we'll see, because I think the last year, I think the Mets can always, throw away that money and, let him go. So it's kind of like a 2-year deal. And again, this is a guy, even at over 34 years old, even the last 4 years, from 30 years old until 34 years old, or 30 to 33 years old, 4 years, he's played 159 games or more. Again, a freak injury. He fouled the ball off his foot and fractured his foot. It's not a ligament. It's not soft tissue. It's not a hamstring. It's not an Achilles, not a calf, not an oblique. It's a fractured foot. Those heal. Bones heal. You always worry about soft tissue injuries. So he's been basically healthy except for last year. So again, not saying that he's going to be a big guy, but you know what? He's a guy that can hit home runs just like Brandon Nimmo. He can be a 20, 25 home run guy. No problem. And you know what? When David Stearns came in here, I said David Stearns needs to take control over his team. This guy needs to put his mark on his team. And again, I'm not saying it's going to work or not. But this shows you with David Stearns that he's not afraid to trade a guy who's a fan favorite. A lot of people like Brandon Nimmo. And again, nobody's buying Marcus Siemen shirts or jerseys. Right? I'm not saying that either. And again, it's not about being excited about Marcus Siemen. I'm excited at the fact that the Mets saved 2 years on a contract that was a terrible contract. A terrible left fielder who got paid like a center fielder, and it's a problem. So I do think that this trade is leading to something else. If that is a Bellinger Tucker signing or a bigger trade coming down the ropes. Because again, this trade changes up the dynamic here. But what it does, it leads to more possibilities. I don't think Bellinger or Tucker was even an option for the New York Mets if Brandon Nimmo was on this team. And if I'm not mistaken, on the last Mets Hot Stove with me and Chris, I believe we brought up that it seemed like Nimmo had to get moved for a deal like that to happen. I think we kind of hinted at that. So this is where we are right now, guys. The Mets trade Brandon Nimmo to the Texas Rangers for Marcus Semien, and $5 million is going to the Texas Rangers. So, again, is this leading? Does this trade lead to a bigger trade/signing? Again, the Mets should save $19.5 million on payroll, even though Semien is making more money per year than Brandon Nimmo. But he has 2 less years on his deal. So you're saving a little over $19 million on this trade. This is probably leading to a signing, in my opinion. Or they're looking, they're on the, they could be trying to get Tariq Skubal here and trying to work their magic with the payroll to maybe extend or even really try to trade and sign Skubal. Or they're trying to go after Bellinger or Tucker. It's leading to something more. I don't think anybody saw this trade and says, why would you get Marcus Siemen? But when you dig deeper into the whole trade and what this does for the Mets' payroll flexibility, I know for them, oh my God, payroll flexibility. What are you crazy? You got the richest owner in baseball. It's not a limited budget, or it's not it's not a complete no budget. There's always a budget, guys. But this maneuvers the payroll a little bit more. Now, remember, there's already money coming off the books. Marte's coming off the books. You're probably going to be able to get Jeff McNeil out of here as well. That's probably, I think you can probably save a few $1 million on a McNeil trade. Like, the Mets are saving, have payroll, more payroll flexibility than they did if Nimmo was still on his team. So, and Uncuffed, I agree with you, buddy. We need warriors on his team, not nice guys. And I think that's where the Mets have fell in line, to be quite honest with you. I truly believe that. I think this whole nice guy mentality thing is cute for the fans, and why Nimmo and Pete Alonso and became fan favorites. Because, you know, they are nice guys. And we know the saying, right? Nice guys finish last. Now, I'm not saying Nimmo couldn't do it or Pete Alonso couldn't do it, but guess what, guys? They couldn't do it here. Let's not act like they only been here 2 years and, oh my God, we didn't see their potential. We have. Their potential has led to more losing seasons than winning seasons since they've been Mets. And I'm not saying it's all their fault. I'm not saying that at all. But you know what? As the quote-unquote faces of this team over the last 6, 7, 8 years, they never took control. Where was their leadership when the team needed him? Where was their control? Where was their captain-esque type of moment where they stepped up vocally when the team needed? Where was their meetings before Lindor? Where was their meetings in 21 and 22 when Lindor was still trying to find his footing on this team? There was none. There was collapses. We saw in 2024 Francisco Lindor finally take over that leadership role that Pete Alonso and Brandon Nimmo seemed to never want, or tried to, but were never good at. This is, and great point, B-Jax. Maybe this is adding, you know, that money actually leads to probably Aaron Diaz signing as well. Payroll flexibility. Even though you're the richest owner in baseball, you still got to have some payroll flexibility. It does a lot here, guys. So what does this Brandon Nimmo trade mean? It means, in my opinion, something bigger coming. I don't think anybody thought that this trade for Brandon Nimmo and Marcus Siemen was just a trade to just make the Mets better. Because you can argue that maybe the Mets aren't better offensively, but again, how did the Brandon Nimmo's numbers work for the New York Mets last year? Clutch numbers not good. Runners in scoring position not good. So we'll see. But I'm definitely on the side of this trade is leading to something bigger. Again, can it be a trade? You know, guys, how about this one? What about a Ketel Marte trade? Maybe it's leading to that, right? You're saving money on payroll. So we'll see. But I think this trade is leading to something else. So once again, guys, to end the stream right here, guys, in the live stream, and thank you for tuning in, guys. We had over 250 plus people here on the stream this whole time, from the short view and the actual live stream. Mets trade Brandon Nimmo to the Texas Rangers for Marcus Siemen. The Mets are sending $5 million in that deal. The Mets are saving in total $19.5 million to the overall contract, or to the overall payroll. So they're saving that money, and they're also saving 2 years on that terrible contract of Brandon Nimmo. So we will see what is next. This has got to be leading to something else, because I'll be the first one to tell you guys, if this doesn't lead to a big sign or trade for a big-time player, either in the free agent market or the trade market, I'm not going to like this trade so much. But I don't see the first big move of the offseason for David Stearns is to trade Brandon Nimmo for Marcus Siemen. And there's nothing coming down the pipeline that is going to be big. So, welcome to the offseason, Met fans. November 23rd, big blockbuster trade, because this is a blockbuster trade. This is one of your core guys being traded for a world champion, Gold Glover, who is not the greatest offensive player, but I think you can find worse than 25 home runs and 75 to 80 RBIs. I think you'll be fine with that, especially when you got Juan Soto, you got Francisco Lindor, you got guys in this lineup that can go around him no problem. Listen, guys, this is the interesting trade, but we'll see what's next. The first move of the offseason for David Stearns, big move. Nimmo traded Marcus Siemen in. What is next for the New York Mets going forward? And it's not even December yet, guys. We got, 2.5 weeks until the winter meetings? Can't wait, guys. So, guys, I want to thank you for tuning in to the breaking news here, as Brandon Nimmo has gotten traded for Marcus Siemen. We'll see you soon, guys. It will be a hot stove over the next couple of days. Tune in for that. And if any other news pops up, you know I'll be here with some breaking news with some live stream, guys. Have a good night, guys. Let's go, Mets. And I'll see you next time, guys. Have a good night.
The Mets of New York town. Give them a yell. Give them a hand. And let them know you're rooting in the stand. Come on and meet the Mets. Meet the Mets. Step right up and greet the Mets. Bring your kiddies, bring your wife.